Welcome to my kitchen. I'm going to show you how to make a very simple soap recipe. For my fat, I am using a tub of shortening. This is just the cheap brand. Crisco would be the name brand. This is like the store brand. I have my lye, which is caustic and will burn your skin, so it's double bagged, and I use gloves to protect my hands when I'm measuring it. I have my water, and I'll be measuring that later, but my water is mixed with the lye. I keep vinegar on hand to neutralize lye. If I have a spill of lye, vinegar will neutralize that and, well, it's for safety precautions. You need a scale to measure the weight of your ingredients. Here's my pot with my utensils and tools. This is the pot I'll be measuring the shortening in. I use a hand blender for mixing. I have a couple utensils for stirring and scraping. And I have a meat thermometer, which I've never used for meat, but I have a meat thermometer for measuring the temperature of the oils and the lye and water mix. I have my recipe over there on my page with lots of scribbles and notes. And I have a box lined with plastic for a very easy soap mold. So here I have measured my water, which is 1 pound, 2.5 ounces, which is about that much in a gallon jar. Here I have measured my lye, which for this recipe is 6.5 ounces. And one thing I didn't mention before, but you'll notice, is I have the window open in the back. And when you're adding your lye to your water, it's good to have ventilation because there is fumes created. And even in the winter, if the window is open just a small amount, it's good and the fumes dissipate quite quickly. So I'm going to pour my lye in to my water jar. You want to use a jar that is like tempered, I guess I think is the word, like a canning jar or something, or some container that is going to withstand heat, because this gets very hot. And these canning jars were great because they're designed for being in hot conditions. So you add your lye a little bit at a time. And then this is where you need to have a utensil specifically designated for soap making, because once you've used this for lye, you do not want to use it for eating. But the rest of these pieces, the jar, I reuse for all of our kitchen purposes. This measuring 2-cup measuring is used for kitchen purposes. So you don't need to have a special set of things just for soap making. So you add lye a little bit at a time, and so I'll add a little bit more, and I'll stir. I have this on a brown paper bag because I have spilt a lye and water mix on my countertop and it stained it. I didn't actually spill it, I set this down on the countertop and it left a stain. So now I cover my area that I'm working with a brown paper bag. While this is doing its thing, I'm going to get the oil melting. So we're just using 3 pounds, 1 tub of shortening. Just a minute. And you just dump it in your pot. And you get it to you melt it and you get it to the temperature that you want it to be. And for my purposes, for this simple soap recipe, I'm going to get the oils and the water and lye mixture to the same temperature of about 110 degrees Fahrenheit. Here we are, I've added all the lye to the water, and you can see that it is, I took off my rubber gloves, so I'll grab it with this cloth. You can see that it is mostly clear, the mixture, a bit bubbly, and if I were to touch the jar It's very hot. And so that just needs to cool down now to a certain temperature. And over here is where I am melting my fat, and it has to heat up to the same temperature as the lye and water mixture. And so now this is the part that takes the most time during the process, is bringing the temperature of the oils up and bringing the temperature of the lye down so that they're at the same, and then we can mix them. These are both at 110 or approximately 110, within a few degrees from each other, and that's close enough. And so now I'm going to pour my water and lye into my oils. This is just one oil. Usually I have multiple oils combined, but this is just one oil. So I'm just going to show you kind of what it looks like here, and I'm going to start blending it with my mixer. I'm just showing you here how it's starting to thicken up. This is not yet what you would call trace. It's almost there. If you were making a soap where you were adding essential oils and little bits of plant material, you would add that at trace, but this is a simple soap. We are not adding anything, and I'm blending it with my hand blender. I have two of these bottom parts and just one base, and I use one for soap and I use a different one for my cooking. This is at trace now, and you can see how if I pick up my mixer and the liquid drops off and it kind of clumps on the top or leaves a pattern, I would say, on the top. I don't know why it's called trace. Maybe because you can trace a pattern, I'm not sure. But this is trace. And at this point, like I said, you would add things. We're not adding anything. We're just going to pour it into our mold.
Is it on?
Yeah, it's on. Okay, so we're going to pour this into our, this is a very easy mold. And you don't need any special tools for something like this. A box lined with a heavy-duty plastic. So not like a grocery shopping plastic bag, but some kind of heavy-duty plastic. This is the bags that my bulk pasta comes in, so I use those. You could tape your plastic down. In fact, that would probably be more beneficial, but I was lazy. And now you pour in. You see how it pours? It's already, the chemical reaction has started already, and it's starting to thicken. And now the trick is to scrape out. I will scrape this out and even that out. Back when I first started making soap, I would wear like work clothes, you know, things that I wouldn't want to get ruined because I wasn't sure what the lye might do if it splashed on me. I don't do that anymore, but you can take all kinds of precautions. You could wear an apron or something. I've never had any problems with lye, but it's always good to be safe. Okay, so you can see I've poured it in, and I've laid down long pieces of the plastic along here, and then I'm kind of tucking it in. I'm going to tuck it in. And then I'm going to cover it, and I'm going to let it sit for 24 hours. Just like that. Sometimes I wrap it in a towel because you want it to keep its heat, because the heat is part of the reaction and part of turning the lye and water and the oil into soap. So I'm tucking that in. You can see this is what I'm left with, and I've learned something after a couple years of soap making. If I let this sit for, I don't know, 24 hours, it's much easier to clean up because the remnants become soap. This bit that's on here will become soap. Right now it still is very oily when you wash it, and you'll need a lot of dish soap to clean this all up. But if I let it sit for 24 hours, it will become soap, and you'll have your own soap for washing up. And this was what I had the lye in, and I like to use vinegar water to rinse that because it makes it easier to clean. Okay, so we're back actually 48 hours later, so it's been 2 days that the soap has been sitting in this box, and we are back to take it out of the mold and cut it, and then it's going to cure for another month or 3 weeks. It's not an exact science at this point. So I just pull out the plastic liner out of my very easy to make mold. Because this is a cleaning soap, I'm just going to cut it in chunky bars. It doesn't really matter to me what they look like. There's a bit of moisture on it, water. That doesn't always happen, so I'm not sure what that's from. Maybe I left it too long. Maybe it stayed too warm. Maybe it was too cold. So we're going to cut this now into bars. So I've cut the bars now, and I weighed how much those amount of ingredients yielded, and it gave me 4 pounds 7 ounces. But after it cures, it will lose weight. I'm assuming from water evaporating. It'll lose weight, and it'll be probably just under 4 pounds of finished soap. Once this soap has been cured, then I grate it for making my laundry soap. And this is why I needed to make soap, because this is how much laundry soap I have left. So I need to make some more soap. I grate it for making laundry soap, mix it with borax and washing soda. That recipe is on the blog. There's my soap. It is cut and it is sitting on wire shelves so that it has circulation all around, and I could even space it out further if I wanted better circulation. And it will be ready to use in 3 to 4 weeks. And that is how you make a very simple soap recipe.